Hi there, this is Josh from Literary Gladiators, and today I'm here with a new and original book tag. This book tag is something that I created with the help of my good friend and fellow booktuber and writer Anniken Haga. She used to operate a channel called Bookish Blues, but due to health issues, she had to go on a hiatus, or as they call it up in Norway, a hiatsu. But despite the fact that she hasn't been active on Booktube, Anniken has been active with her writing, and she's currently on her way to releasing a new project called The Artificial Generation, which is a dystopian having to do with a futuristic generation where there is a tyrannical authority and women are seen as nothing more than breeding capsules, which it seems like it is Handmaid's Tale meets Brave New World, is the kind of gist that I'm getting, but I'm pretty sure that with knowing Anniken that this is going to be something completely new and original, and I'm really looking forward to checking it out. I'm going to leave a link down below to her Inkshare page, which she is looking for people to help kickstart the project. The sooner she reaches her goal, the sooner she's going to be able to release it to the general public. And this is the first time that she is releasing something in English, which her previous books were written and released in Norwegian. But Anniken was very nice to approach me on Goodreads and help me out with this rat book tag, which Anniken has a great fascination for rats. She has previously owned rats. Rats to me are quite fascinating critters. Unfortunately, I am not able to own any because I live in a house full of cats, but I think that since the cats provide me with unconditional love on their terms, I think that the trade-off is worth it. But let's get right into the rat book tag. I put together 12 questions plus 2 bonus questions, and Anniken was very nice to provide me with different kinds of rats that had either crossed my mind or did not even, I didn't even think about. But let's begin. The first one is the Dumbo Rat, one with large floppity ears. A work that you found cute and charming. And this one was one of the longer ones to think about, but I think that anything from the Little Critter series by Mercer Mayer is cute and charming, and I think that young kids can relate. But When I Get Bigger is probably the one that really sticks out, because it just has to do with a little critter imagining what life is going to be like when he grows up. The fact that he can go to the corner store all by himself, and he can spend his allowance on anything he wants. Which, when you're young, those are the kinds of things that you're thinking about. By the time you get to the point where you can make those decisions, you're thinking about things that are completely different. I think when I was a little critter's age, I probably would have wanted to spend my money on bubble gum as well, or any kind of gum. Next one is the Dwarf Rat. A small work you feel deserves greater attention. If this is a book, I would say about 200 pages or less. If it's a short story, probably 5 pages or less, or 1,000 words or less. Maybe even, and then if it's a poem, no more than a page. But I chose a book that was under 100 pages, and that is Sleepwalkers by Nicole Lehner Montez. This is a thought-provoking poetry collection that really explores race, gender issues, class issues, and society in general. And it really struck a chord in my mind. Next one is Red, the Red Rat, short for Red-Eyed Devil. And that is the most heartless demonic villain. And for that, I chose Bob Ewell from To Kill a Mockingbird. Bob Ewell, his daughter was the one that was allegedly harassed by a black man that Atticus Finch is defending in court. But Bob Ewell is not only someone that's willing to point a finger, but he also worked a union-based job and got himself laid off because he was he was an underperformer, and that's probably saying a lot. And he also did some disgusting things later into the novel that I don't want to say too much because it may spoil information. But when I got finished reading this, my concluding result was that Bob Ewell is a piece of garbage. Next one is the Lab Rat, which some of these are going to be slight wordplay, but the Lab Rat is a work of science, fiction or nonfiction, you feel is impactful. And I'm going to go current with this one and say He Wanted the Moon by his daughter Mimi Baird and with Eve Claxton. This is more in the area of medicine, but I feel that this was greatly impactful when it came to understanding manic depression and how Baird's early research and chronicling really gave us a great sense of what the condition is, and also the idea of how lobotomies were seen as being a reasonable solution, but when all was said and done, they were much more ineffective, if anything. And I think that this really, this is something that had me thinking beyond the text. I want to read his written documents about manic depression, which is now known as bipolar disorder. But what this did, in my mind, is something that a great book is meant to do. Next one is The Pack Rat, a series that went on for too long. And for that, I went with the Hunger Games trilogy by Suzanne Collins. I think I've said this before, but I'll say it again. If the first book in the Hunger Games trilogy was extended a little bit more, this would have been gold. But Catching Fire and Mockingjay, it seemed that the purpose was just to boil a pot. And to me, it really did nothing more than create a pot of hot water. Next one is the Fancy Rat. A work from the point of view or about the upper class that you enjoyed. And for that I chose The Fortune of the Rogons by Emile Zola. This is the first in the Rogon McCourt series. This is suggested as the one that you should read first. And the fact that the upper class within the same family was so detached to the lower class, it really gave us a great sense of the true connection of classes and how, in a way, the upper class is living in their own world, that they really don't, they begin to lose a sense of understanding for common society. There's definitely exceptions to the rule, but this really pokes at several instances. Next one is The Naked Rat, a book with a bad cover but an awesome story, which this was a challenge for me because I feel that every cover has its purpose, and I feel that aside from movie covers or movie tie-ins that I tend to avoid like the plague to the best of my ability, I feel that most covers are there's a reason that they look the way they do, but I think that the one that I'm going to go with for this one is The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky, with the, please forgive me, anybody that is a fan of both the story and the cover. I think that this on the back is a bit, I think that this is a bit reasonable, where it's see no evil, hear no evil. I would think that this should have been speak no evil, but he just has his head turned. But why it's just a guy's legs, I'm assuming it's Charlie's legs. I don't know, but I think that this work is very revolutionary in the way that it really I think it really does a lot to catch the attention of its target audience in a way that is somewhat relatable. Especially in this generation. The next one is The Sewer Rat, a book you DNF'ed, and for that I chose If You Like School, You'll Love Work by Irvine Welsh. It's the only one that I DNF'd with no intent on coming back to, and I gave my copy back to my uncle, who let me borrow it. Next one is The Pew Wrap, which I think it's pink-eyed white. It's also known as an albino rat, and it's also deemed as somewhat of a sidekick to the red-eyed rat. And for that one I chose a villain or villainous looking character that has your sympathy. Originally I was going to go with the Joker based off of Batman's The Killing Joke, but the things that he did in the present day, in my mind, were a bit too heinous for me. So I went with Rorschach from Watchmen, because he is more of an anti-hero in the way that he is the way he is because of a past where he saw great struggle. And some of his actions are justified in how he doesn't like people that go after children. And he, if he sees that somebody is committed a crime, whether it be a murder or a rape on a child, he'll fiercely terminate them, which I think that in that way there's a whole argument that takes place regarding the two wrongs not making a right, but it seems like Rorschach's way of thinking is something that you really you can really understand. Next one is the Tailless Rat, a clumsy character that somehow always comes through, and that one I'm going to go with the obvious, Neville Longbottom from the Harry Potter series, from the first book all the way to the last one. Next one is the Husky Rat, also known as the Rowan Rat. A character or series that makes a great change, just as the Rowan Rat changes color. And for that I chose the Harry Potter series. It started out as a series that was intended to attract its target audience of preteen readers, I suppose. But as the series progressed and that particular age group, the target age group, grew older, the book really started to suit that particular audience, and it grew a bit darker, and Harry Potter himself grew older. The next one is the Harley Rat. The fact that it is a shaggy rat and reminds me of the Harley Davidson. Question I came up with is a work that breaks the status quo in some way. And the one that I had to choose for that is Howl by Allen Ginsberg, because after I read Howl in American Lit 2 with Dr. Bordelon, I began to realize that poetry can be about anything. There are no rules for poetry. They don't have to be quote-unquote appropriate for the general public. There can be profanity and vulgarity, and it is still championed as an equal form of art. And I think that as we grow older and more mature, the Literary Gladiators slogan, if it's written work, it's game, only becomes more meaningful. Next one is, what is your favorite rat? And for this one, I would say either a lab rat or a domestic rat, something that I can keep as a pet and for fun train it to engage in intellectual tricks or skills. Definitely ones that would provide incentive for it, and I am in no way a supporter of anything that would hurt the animal. So I would say that would be something that would be a rat that would interest me. And I think that I would need to get over the smell of rat droppings, whether it be liquid or solid. But I think that should be pretty easy. But it would have to be separate from, I couldn't let it in an area where the cats could get in, because that wouldn't be that wouldn't be good. And the last one is, who do you tag? I'm going to tag 6 people, and then a 7th one I'll let you know. I'm going to tag Kate from Kate File, because she has rats. Steve from Steve Donahue. Aveline from Aveline Massawan, also known as the Empath's Guide. Allie from the Hardback Order. Alex from Alex Black. Anniken from Bookish Blues. If you return to the Booktube community at any point in time, I'd really be interested to hear your answers to these questions. And I also tag any booktuber that owns a rat or has once owned a rat. Thank you for tuning into this video. I hope you check out some more videos from our channel. If you're interested in doing this tag, I would really be interested to hear what you come up with. And for now, and as always, I encourage you to keep reading.